Angels and demons fighting in the deep end. I turn all my weakness into something I believe in. Every scar, every doubt, that's fuel when I speak. Welcome to the battle where the broken get free. Yeah.
Alrighty. Welcome to Angels and Demons Podcast. What happens when a parent's challenge becomes a mission that transforms thousands of lives on Angels and Demons? The podcast that reminds you you are not alone. We talk about the real battles behind mental health, resilience, and hope. Today's guest turned personal struggle into a powerful advocacy. After navigating life with a daughter who is nonverbal and profoundly affected by autism, she stepped far beyond her own family's story to fight for children and teens and adults with autism across the country, far more than a decade. Welcome, Leslie Weed, to Angels and Demons Podcast.
Nice to meet you.
It is such a pleasure to have you on this show because for what you have done in the field of autism, I feel like nobody else has done. And what a gift for a person to give back to the community in a way that very few know how. Your advocacy began when your daughter, Lanier, can take us back to the moment when you first realized autism would shape your family's journey in a profound way.
Well, that's a loaded question. There's a lot to unpack there. But when she was born, she was perfect. 10 on the APGAR, hitting all of her milestones, all the way up to 12 months, I think 14 months, and then around 16, 18 months, right before my very eyes, just completely regressed. Her sensory system started going haywire, and everything would set her off. Like something would fall and it'd set her off. So her hearing and her eyesight became very, very acute, overly acute, I think. And then she lost the ability to walk and the ability to talk. And she would just be in a puddle, just sitting there with drool coming out. And I would take her to the doctor the first couple times. He's like, she's fine. She's going to be fine. She's the third one, because they really didn't see something like this before, really. She's kind of on the tip of the tsunami wave, as I say. And I begged him to humor me and let me go to a neurologist. So I could take her to a neurologist. By then, she's almost 2, and he just berates me. Like, why did you wait this long to bring her in? What were you thinking? And I was like, no, this just happened. She wasn't born like this. She was dancing and mama, dada, bye-bye, laughing and doing funny things with her tongue, making funny noises. And he was taken aback. And he's like, well, I'm not going to say she has autism, but you're going to have to give her evaluated, but that's what it is. And so I came home and probably cried for 2 weeks. I really did. I just didn't know. I was blindsided, 100% blindsided.
Because you got 2 healthy children,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got one that's 18 months old.
Who was perfect.
Was perfect.
It's like somebody went in and snatched her soul out of her body. And she wasn't, my husband traveled a lot, and he came home and he was like, she doesn't even know who I am. She would just like look through you. It was like she was just a stoner, just this drool. She'd fall and hit her head and she wouldn't cry. She had peripheral nerve damage, so she lost all feeling in her body. And I think that's what set me in motion, was if she was born like that, I would just be going along like everybody else. But to have a baby, this cutie that was perfect, just gone. It's like, I got to figure this out fast. I got to figure this out.
And that set you in motion to where you were like, hey, listen, as a parent experiencing this gut-wrenching feeling of having 2 healthy kids and one that now is different than the other 2, you sure did figure it out.
Well, the doctors couldn't tell me. They didn't know what to do. The psychiatrist didn't know what to do. The therapist really didn't know what to do, because they're seeing these kids for the first time, really. And so I started going to conferences all over the country, sitting on the front row. I would get there early and I'd help the nurses or the doctor's assistants, let me staple this for you, because I wanted to get to that doctor. It was like I said,
To get
it's
that
like
one answer.
going to a concert. I'm going to get on the backstage and party with the band, you know?
There you go.
So this was kind of that take. And, you know, I would go help them, and then the conference would be over and I'd be sitting out on the steps, and they go, "You don't have a ride?" And I was like, "My taxi didn't arrive." And they're like, "Oh, we'll give you a ride to the hotel." And I'm like, "I'm in the car with the doctor."
That's awesome. Now you can ask the questions.
"Now, can you see my daughter?" Because it was like 6 months to get in to see him. And he was like, "Hey, Helen, could you put her on the list for 2 weeks from now?" And I'm like, yes, yes. And that's really what you have to do, you know?
Wow. You marched right to the front lines.
Yes.
Got in the trenches and started figuring out, what do I need to do to connect with my daughter to make
Right.
her whole? You know, I think that all the world is full of suffering. It is also full of overcoming. I saw that by Helen Keller. And I thought, you know, you said she was born perfect, 18 months backsliding. And then you mentioned like it was an electric box switch. If it didn't cry, days were a struggle for you.
Yeah.
You know, at first it was, you know, like this turmoil where it was just one of the hardest things from a parent and having a son, you know, that's 5 months old. I can't imagine. But what struck me was your husband, Mr. Bobby Weed. He said, "We are Team Weed, and nobody's playing soccer, likes to sit on the bench.
Right.
So we're all going to be in this together."
Right.
What a man.
Yeah.
What a husband.
He set it in motion. A lot of time, he was traveling. He was in Texas, and I took her to get evaluated, and I'm sobbing on the phone. He's like, "Where are you?" "I'm on 995. He said, "Pull over," because I was like, my life is over. I can't volunteer at school anymore, and I can't be this, and I can't, and this is bad, and, you know. And he said, "Wait a minute. We knew something was wrong. Now you have answers. Now we're going to be going in a certain direction, and Lanier will be the glue. She will be the bond that keeps our family strong. And you will be a better mother, and I will be a better father, and Haley and Carly will be better citizens. They'll have empathy. This is a team." And he could have said, "I'm busy. I'm at work. What, stop crying. You know, I'm trying to earn money." It could have gone in that direction. But at that moment, the trajectory went this way.
Mrs. Sweet, you dropped everything you were doing for 10 years. You decided to dedicate your time to Lanier for specific reasons, so she could have a life, and so could you. And to me, that point was so profound, because a mother that loves her children so much that everything else blurred out, to where you were for 10 years going to say, "Listen, I know what the doctors are saying. You're starting to let it register that something is going to be a harder uphill battle than just, you know, you have syndrome or something. This was a little bit harder battle." And so you were like, for 10 years, I'm going to dedicate myself to perfecting this for other moms, so that they have the answers they need, because you could see the difficulty that it was having on you. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. So because I was going to all these conferences, and literally the first doctor I went to was in Chicago, and Arnold Palmer lent us his jet so we could go there.
Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
What a God-sent angel.
I mean, my husband was a golf course architect and knew all the guys that, you know, were architects. And they were like, "Arnie's giving you his plane." And we're like, whoa, because how are we going to get her through an airport? How are we going to get her on a plane?
This is so cool.
So I started amassing all this information, and I went to another doctor in Baton Rouge and another doctor down in South Florida. There were only 3 doctors that were treating these kids biomedically. It's like, something's wrong, not just here and here, but she's really sick. And
because she's nonverbal. Level 3, right? Meaning different levels of autism.
Level
like
6.
I apologize. Level 6,
Yeah.
where it's like a nonverbal. So you have a harder trivia game ahead of you. You're trying to put pieces together for her in this time
A
frame.
puzzle with 1,000 pieces, and every piece is white. That's what it felt like.
So when you were meeting these doctors, was there any one point where you started to feel like you were gaining traction?
Yes, absolutely. Because they were taking her blood, and they were getting blood counts, and they were testing everything, urine test, and everything was off, and they were testing her for heavy metals and all sorts of things. And, now I could wrap my hands around it, and we put her on a very strict diet, and she had gut dysbiosis and all sorts of things wrong. And so I had amassed all this information, and because my husband flew everywhere, I had frequent flyer miles and hotel miles. So I was basically doing it for no money. But moms can't leave their child and go do that stuff.
No.
So I was like, okay, now I remember saying to my husband, Lanier at this point was 8. And I said, I have to start a foundation. I have to help these parents. And he was like, what? You got to do what?
Wow.
And I said, I feel like me and a few moms, we've made it across the ocean on some driftwood, and we'd find another one, come hang on. And these big ships are coming by and rocking us, but we hung on, and we got to the other side of the ocean, and I turn around and I see all these parents treading water. I'm like, I got to go back. I got to go help them. I've got the help. I know what to do. Or I can send them on a path and give them some hope. And
you're incredible, because you traveled the country, you met with all the top specialists, and you learned what I think you mentioned was invaluable. And so I looked up the word, what does invaluable mean? It means it can't be bought with money.
right.
So what you were doing for the entire country of autism is you were gathering information that was so critical for the success to have with their child with autism that maybe they were not in a position to be able to do. And here you are. Nobody said, Mrs. Weed, you got to do this, did they? Did anyone put you at gunpoint like, Mrs. Weed, you got to do this? It came out of the love of your heart.
Yeah.
That's what is, to me, so gut-wrenching, is the love of your heart for your children. No greater love as someone than for his children. And you loved your daughter so much that you went through this path. Yeah. And Bobby Weir shares how Mrs. Leslie got in the trenches to how to make a difference. And so to have a husband that was behind, when you mentioned, you said, I got to do this for these parents. Your husband was like, jump in the trenches and I'll support you. How did that make you feel?
He never, ever, ever questioned me, ever. I mean, crazy things like, I'm going to Washington, D.C. It was the girls' spring break. I'm going to D.C.
Wait, how did you get to Washington, D.C.? You can't just spring that one on us.
So I, back then, you get on the internet and it'd be like group chats. We didn't have, so we had this autism group chat mom, and there were like 30 moms.
Kind of like a Reddit thing, like Reddit blog or something?
They were like me. They were like, we have to do this, and we need to go to D.C., and we need to, we're going to have this rally, and we're going to go and visit all these senators and all, So I get there, and I told Bobby, I said, I have to go, but it's the girls' spring break. But I'm going to get on a train, and we're going to D.C. And he was like, what? And I said, this is my Woodstock. And everybody that didn't go to Woodstock regretted it the rest of their life. I'm going.
So true. I have that book. That's hilarious. They always talk about it. They're like, the one thing I should have done. And you're like, nope, not me.
So he was building a golf in Philadelphia, and he very quietly the next day came. I said, we're going to get on a train. It'll be fun. It'll be adventure. He goes, well, I'm doing this course in Philadelphia, so you can hop on the plane with the owner sending us the plane. So y'all can hop on the plane, and I'll drop you off in D.C. and then pick you up after a couple of days. It was like he made it happen.
That's so cool.
Same with the Arnold Palmer's thing. He
was putting wind behind your sails so that you could be learning as much as you could in this area.
He would just figure out, how can I help her? But he wasn't going to go to D.C. and raise Cain. Wow. He was just going to drop me off and make it happen.
So when you were in Washington, D.C., where was this, in front of the House, the Senate? Like, where were you targeting to make a difference?
We had several rallies. The biggest rally we had was, it was because a lot of us felt like the vaccine ingredients, not the vaccines, but the toxins in there, were what had harmed our children's nervous system. And so Jenny McCarthy came a couple times to my galas at Tournament Players Club. And she would rent a house down the street And one
Sounds
day,
just like her. She's such a sweet
she's so
person.
cool. She called me up. She goes, "Hey, girly," because she never charged me a dime. Buy me a couple plane tickets. Can my dad play in the tournament? And she calls me, "Hey, girly."
Shout out to Jenny McCarthy.
Yes, thank
Wow.
you. Y- Jim Carrey. She was dating him then. Jim and I want to do a
Shout out
rally,
to Jim Carrey.
a rally, and you have to head it up for us. So I called a couple of my other moms, and Amy and Angela, and I said, "Here we go." And so we go to DC. We have to go.
I love your personality.
we
Here we
had
go.
to get permits from the police, from Homeland Security, from the park police, da da da. And it just started growing and growing and growing. And they're like, "What do we name it?" And at that point, green was, if you said green, it meant something that was toxic. And I said, "Let's call it Green Our Vaccines."
I love that. I love that so much.
And I said,
I love
"We're going to
that.
sell green shirts, and we're just going to see a sea of green." And it ended up over 10,000 parents and kids came from
What?
48 countries. And they closed down the whole.
This is Leslie. Look at
I know,
you.
they closed down the streets, and we went by HHS, and then Robert Kennedy was our keynote speaker.
Wow.
And we had all these senators, and Jim Carrey spoke, and Ginny
What
spoke.
most impressed you about Jim Carrey?
He is so zen. He is so zen. He was so cool. The first day we were walking the thing, and I said, "Oh gosh, I hope it doesn't rain." He was like, "Don't say that. You said rain. Say tomorrow's going to be beautiful because you're going to vibrate
I
rain."
can see him with his facial expression doing it at the same time, right?
Yeah. So
It's the most positive person
the first
there
time I
is.
met him, I said, "I can't believe I'm meeting Fire Marshal Bill."
I
don't
can
know
hear
if
him
you-
saying that. Don't say that.
And he
You know,
immediately
right.
did the Fire Marshal Bill to me. But we had parents sign up. The first 1,000 that signed up could be in a picture with them.
Oh, that's
and
cool. That's really
It was
cool.
the hottest day in June, and it was this big oak tree. And he got up there and he goes, "Every single person, we will stay here until the last person. Everybody's going to get a picture with me." And that's when the character came out. He's very
Wow.
serious. He's very smart.
He's my favorite actor, and he's the
Yeah.
funniest guy on earth. So to hear you say
And
that,
Jenny McCarthy, smart as a whip.
wow.
I mean, let me tell
what
you.
what is an example of something
She's-
she did? Or
She's
you already
on
did. You already
steroids
did, yeah.
compared to me. I'm in my community, but she's big everywhere.
She is. She's
Yeah.
brilliant.
They were great. They were awesome.
That-
And that was a
that's-
great moment. And he would put kids on his shoulders and make all these funny faces. It was really cute. It was great.
That is amazing that you had the support system
Mhm.
from two people that really, a lot of people, know those names, they're big movie actors in Hollywood, having an uncle that's a film producer. Those aren't just beginner actors. Those are people that had a big influence in helping you accomplish
Yeah, they
what
have
you
big
needed to.
hearts. Both of them. They didn't do this for money or for publicity at all.
They did it because they
They were
wanted
like, "I
to
see all the
help.
parents struggling." Jenny got really smart too, learning, helping her son. And he's fine now today. He's not even on the spectrum.
That's incredible. Helen Keller at age 7,
Mhm.
there was a defining point for her. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much, by Helen Keller. And Anne Sullivan, worked with her on new methods for the blind until she was
Mhm.
7, and what was trapped could now be free in her mind. Lanier, her breakthrough with Morgan Timer, did I say that right?
Mhm.
Morgan Timer?
Tyner.
Started working with her, facilitating typing. So Lanier and Morgan went to work. And what's fascinating about this is the first thing she typed is "Thank you for releasing my voice."
Mhm.
And 30 minutes had to form the word. Never had hand-eye coordination. She had everything in her head. And next thing she wrote was, "Tell my mom
I
I love her. And tell my dad he's my hero." How does that make you feel?
It was stunning. I wasn't even in town. We went to Syracuse to get trained. 10 of us, I think, 8 or 10, some teachers and parents. And I just came back and I said, "I just don't think she can do that. I just don't, maybe they can." I was calling it like Ouija board. I mean, this is Ouija board stuff. And I knew she was in there, but not like that. And so I was in North Carolina, and Morgan called me. And she goes, "I hope you're sitting down. I'm going to send you a text of everything she wrote." And the third thing she wrote was, "Stop the baby talk." That's when I was like,
That's
Oh gosh, that is
interesting.
her.
That's
Because we're like, you
interesting.
want to go potty? I mean, she's 16 years old, and we're talking to her like she's a
Well,
baby.
I would think you'd naturally do that. I mean, to me, because you
Not
want
to
to
your
be so
16-year-old.
sweet. But
Yeah,
I mean, in
yeah.
that stage, because you want to be so sweet and kind to them. Because I see so many patients that have autism, and you want to be so gentle and kind. But does that help, or does that make things worse?
Well, it was infuriating her, and she said the
Interesting.
underlying issue is the baby talk. Everybody treats me as a baby, and then she
So
typed,
don't do that.
jailed my entire life. And then I think Morgan said, how does that make you feel? And she typed, hot, hot as fire searing in my brain, because she couldn't speak.
Wow.
And she had so much to say. And she's really funny. She's hilarious. And I'm like, imagine,
Her sense of humor
she
starting
goes,
to
I'm
come
the
out.
sarcastic one in the family. And like, imagine being funny and having something funny to say, but you can't get it out. Or
That's a
saying,
good point.
crying because you have a stomach ache and you're like, wonder what's wrong.
And you can't
She
get
has
the
a
words
fever.
out.
What is it? Is she teething, or, does she have a sore throat? All that you don't know.
And correct me if I'm wrong, for those that don't know, facilitating typing is for autistic children to be able to communicate that are nonverbal, to express their.
On an
You played
iPad.
on an iPad. You were a breakthrough individual who set aside your time to make sure that autistic kids in this country had the means to be able to, like Helen Keller with Ann Sullivan, you created a way with Morgan for autistic children in this country to be able to communicate.
Oh, well, I didn't do it.
I mean, in a way you did.
But in
You
our
did.
community.
Yeah, in our community.
We probably have 30, 35 kids now who are completely nonverbal, who can type on these iPads. And
It's incredible.
the iPads speak. Like when you hit, if you say HELLO, it goes HELLO. And then when you hit the space bar, it says hello.
How does that make you feel to know that you made
Giving her a
such an
voice.
impact in this community in ways in where now Heal, these kids through Joe Matisha can have a surf camp you've provided them. You've provided them all these different crafts that they can make, horseback riding, biking, cycling, you name it. You have
Golf,
given golf.
TPC.
Which that is so cool because you mentioned something. Golf can show you a lot about a person
Yes.
to rewind because that was a blind date of yours.
Yes.
You mentioned that, right?
With my husband.
With
First
your
date.
husband. And I'm just curious. I wanted to ask this question. I was like, and I was kind of rewinding a little bit, but I was like, what was that one thing that you learned on that blind date where you were like, that's my husband?
He worked with a very famous architect who I was just followed. His name was Pete Dye. And my husband also worked at the PGA Tour, and he designed most of the tournament players' clubs.
Wow.
And
It's a big
I
deal.
just knew, I'm like, okay, I'll go play golf with him and watch him beat his chest and tell me all the stuff he does with the golf course stuff. I'll just have to listen to it. And because all my friends were like, and he does this, and he does this, and he works with Pete Dye. I'm like, okay. So we played 9 holes. He never said one thing about what he did. And I was waiting for it. He never said, and he was
Wow.
very polite.
Very
and
humble.
Very humble. Really good guy. Like he didn't throw his, you can tell all about somebody's demeanor. If he hit a bad shot, he'd just go.
Because it's such a mental game.
Yeah.
So you're
He never hit
able
a
to-
bad shot.
He's a good golfer,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
He's like a 4 handicap. So.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you must be a good golfer too.
Well, I was back then. I played every day. I played in high school on the team.
Do you play a little now?
I not as much as I should, but I'll get out there.
There you go. You got to take the time for
Yeah.
you because you have spent years and years. Because this is you're going on 20 years now with Heal, right?
21.
21 years
Or
on Heal,
2004.
where you have given. And so I always get concerned with people that give so much because sometimes your mental health is important too. And I love that plan that you had in the 10-year mark because you actually set a goal in mind where you're
Mhm.
like, for 10 years, I'm going to find out everything that's going to be best for my daughter. And then because I'm going to need that time for myself. You kind of
Yeah.
saw that space and you couldn't repeat these words for almost 2 years without crying.
That was Bobby.
Lanier, you're my hero. And I thought, what a dad.
Yeah.
that she had that just loved her to where he's like, she's our hero.
So when we got the phone call about what she had typed, it took me 3 or 4 hours to call my husband. I just walked around this lake up in North Carolina. And the first time I walked around in shock. The second time I walked around, I cried, and then I laughed because it's like, oh, this is great. But oh my gosh, she's been, trapped all this time, screaming in her head, but I called my husband, and
Exactly like Helen Keller kind of.
yeah, I think he was in Austin or Tampa or somewhere, and he just fell to his knees. I think he was in Tampa. And we sobbed on the phone for 20 minutes without saying a word.
You'll never forget that moment.
No, we just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. We were just, so much was coming out.
What was some of the emotions you were feeling during that?
Oh, I was excited. I was so happy that she was out. But then I was in reverse of, waking up in the middle of the night, and she'd thrown up, and there was no way for her to come, Mom, I'm sick. I just go in her room, and, or there were so many instances I was backing up where I didn't know, she could have told me I had a stomach ache, or, jailed my entire life.
You were just rewinding all of the things.
Yeah, and it was like, I would say, like childbirth. Like, it's wonderful and it's painful, and it's, now what am I going to do with this child? Now I've got a mountain to climb now. And I remember saying to somebody, I said, well, I just scaled Mount Everest in my flip-flops, and now I just slid down the backside because I had to start all over because of the typing.
Yes.
And now we got to get this out. We got to get other parents doing it. It's so expensive to go and get trained. So we paid for the Syracuse team to come down here.
That is
quarterly
so cool.
to train.
Because that's where facilitating typing is at its prime, right? Is Syracuse. Is that correct?
That's where it started.
Where it started.
And now there's something called spelling, where the kids point to a word board. My daughter likes the iPad because it talks. Like, it literally is a voice.
Very helpful.
And you can pick out the voices,
Aw.
Yeah.
So you can have it be this way or that way, whatever she wants it to be. That's so cool. When you saw it come into the community and start affecting other children, what did that feel like when you saw the impact?
The impact, it was almost like each kid had rehearsed the first thing they were going to type. Like, one said, easy to see my letters, easy to free my thoughts. One little girl came down from Atlanta. I think she was 6 years old or 8 years old, and her dad was standing there, and Lanier was behind her, just, putting her hand on her shoulder, and the little girl wrote, "Hi, I'm hidden in here." I mean, the first things that these kids write are very kind of,
They should make a book just of all those first things that are said, because something that jumped off the page to me was at the autism convention. One of the doctors asked, "What do you do to those who doubt your intelligence?"
what
And
do
they're
you
talking
say?
to Lanier, and she said, "You don't have intelligence if you take precious time taking integrity away from people."
Taking dignity away from people you've misread.
How do you feel about that?
It was amazing because we had behind her, we had a big projector that her iPad was on. So you've got a room of people, 200 people sitting there. I had them write it on a card, so it would be my voice talking to her. And I said, what do you say to people who doubt your intelligence? And she writes that, but it's like one little peck at a time. So you're just watching it unfold, and then you're stunned. I'm always stunned at anything she ever types because she's so brilliant.
That's incredible.
All the kids are. They are savant in intelligence. They just know. Like, they can go up to this consciousness up here and just grab any kind of knowledge.
It's very interesting as humans how we've categorized things.
Mm-hmm.
We box things into areas that necessarily are wrong. We see things, with potential of people that really maybe is the complete opposite.
Like, if you've watched somebody walking down the street with a gait, you think, oh, something must be wrong with their mind. I mean, that's sort of programmed that way. And really, you can't believe what you're seeing still today when she comes and types stuff. It just still blows my mind. And she's been typing for 12 years now. She's 27.
27 years old.
Yeah.
And she's typing how many years?
She started typing at 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. That is just absolutely incredible. What you have given the community here at Ponte Vedra
I
in Jacksonville. It's just,
it's a God thing. I mean, I really feel uncomfortable ever taking any kind of credit for it
I
because
mean, how
it
could
just
you? You're flying,
flows.
you're taking your time. 10 years, you
It
took
just
your life, you're
happens because I
flying around, you're doing everything you can, Mrs.
but it
Weed.
just sort of falls in my lap from up there.
Well, because you're looking up there. You're
Right.
looking up there and your footsteps were guided. But for people like Jim Carrey and Jenny McCarthy to come in and help when it really, like you said, they didn't take a dollar. They just wanted to help
Right.
you. And you said Kennedy Jr. as well, right?
Yeah.
Coming in and helping you
Yeah.
get in front of the right places so that you could make a huge impact in the autistic
Yes.
community. I mean, I would say you've made more of a big impact. I would say that you globally have made an impact with Heal.
There are a lot of moms like me out there. It's kind of like take the bull by the horns moms, like I've got to do this because I know I can do it. I'm going to do it right.
I've met probably 600 moms with autistic children, and I've never met anyone like you. So where are they? I mean, like, where are
They're
they?
across the country.
Right.
Like
I
there
mean,
were 30 of us that would get together and we divided up in groups of 5 and we would have researchers and doctors with us and we would never leave the Hill, kind of like the 9/11 moms. So I would come with my group and the group before they meet with Snowden, meet with this senator, meet with that Grassley, and we'd meet with their health people, their health department or whatever you call them. And we would just keep that heartbeat going. And then I realized we're going to help you. And then nothing. And I remember getting on the plane one time going, this is futile. This is futile. DC is a very seductive place. Like you think you're getting something done in these big, beautiful buildings and you get these meetings with these top-notch people. And then
they've got to stop forcing these vaccines on kids.
Yeah.
They've got to stop doing that. I don't mean to make this controversial, but there is very, very clear evidence that vaccines affect and can give autism to children. And they seem to be very, very passive with this. And it kind of
it's like the green.
How does that make you feel that they're not saying, looking at the evidence that these drugs do to little babies? They're pumping them with stuff
mercury, aluminum, formaldehyde. And
what is their rationale?
So now what we were trying to get them to do is let's see the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated, which they're just now have started doing those studies. And it's amazing.
They probably don't want to see it.
Well, nobody would pay for it, but there was a doctor out of Chicago that had like 5,000 patients. He had several, pediatrician offices, and he had 2,700 that were unvaccinated. So they got all of his data, and the ones that were unvaccinated didn't have autism, didn't have ADHD, didn't have tics, didn't have asthma, didn't have
Asperger's and Tourette's, all those type of things.
They didn't have any of the autoimmune stuff that
but
all
they
these
won't
kids
admit
have.
it. They won't admit it.
No, because you cannot sue if you have a vaccine injury. So they can put whatever they want in those vaccines, and they don't have to change the formulation. They used to have to change the formulation, and then they went to Congress and said, if we get sued, then we're going to stop making vaccines. And so if your child is vaccine injured, you have to go through something called a vaccine court, where you're sitting there and the people that are arguing against you is HHS, Department of Justice, HHS, CDC, and they're arguing that your child was not harmed.
So
and you don't have a trial, you don't have a jury.
When you're fighting a fight like that, how do you not feel defeated? How did you keep going?
I said to my husband, my children's generation are shouldering these kids. They grew up with these kids, and they heard that vaccines might have done this. When you grow up thinking that this is the holy grail, I doubted it at first. But then I saw the ingredients, and then I saw that my child couldn't excrete these ingredients because they were still in her hair. When we did hair test, she was not excreting them. So the
The
kids
doctor
who were
was so rude to us with our 4-month-old son. When we said, I said, I really don't want my son vaccinated. He was like, he gave me a look like
they get
I
kickbacks.
was.
They get kickbacks.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they get if they have a fully vaccinated child, and this is all in the open. I've known this for years. They get some um, offices get $20 to $40 to $50,000 a year or more. Like one woman said, they had like 10 offices and they could make like 2 or 3 million just off the kickbacks of fully vaccinated kids on time. But it's all out in the open now, so. And this is the first time I'm like, yeah, they're on it. I went to a hearing they had recently on it, and Senator Johnson is heading it up. And
Do you think President Trump has anything to be able to stop this?
oh no, he's not going to stop it.
No.
The train's left the station
The train's left the station.
because right now Florida does not mandate vaccines anymore. State of Florida, so we're like the free Florida.
I'm happy to hear that.
I'm not against them. All my kids were fully vaccinated. One happened to, it's kind of like you have a Ford. Remember where all the tires were exploding on the Fords?
Sure.
Ford Jeeps or whatever. So it's like, I'm not going to buy that car because the tires exploded on it, but you can go buy one. I mean, it's not, but it's become so controversial. And, my 2 older daughters had 10 vaccines. Lanier had 33. So they tripled. They tripled in 5 years the
That's
amount
incredible.
of vaccines. So now it's like 72. I say jabs because they're all the boosters.
And you keep coming back, and they want them to come back, and they want them to come back to have all these
She had
boosters.
a hepatitis B shot on the day she was born. Like, I didn't have hepatitis B, and it's a sexually transmitted disease. There's no reason for her to get one, and it wears off after 10 years.
And the one that really blew me is they had on there, we want your child to have COVID vaccine. And I'm like,
Oh,
well, you
gosh.
just stated on news that those children are not acceptable to COVID vaccine, but we're going to like COVID illness, but we're going to give it to them. It just seemed like I started to see the financial benefit of it instead
Oh,
of the
yeah.
actual need of it for the child. And I think that's what bothers me
Like,
as a
is there some
healthcare
huge
provider.
plague that has come, in the
Right,
last 10
right.
years
No.
that have wiped,
That
all over the
justifies
United
that.
States? That my girls born in 92 and 93 had 10 vaccines, and my one in 98 had 33.
You have a good
So,
point there. It doesn't justify
When the young
it.
mothers call me, I said, go look and see what vaccines you had and go get those. And then write off all the other ones.
That's a good. I
Yeah,
was going to ask you that question. You just answered
there
that.
wasn't this autism epidemic.
Till that point. So get
Till
the ones
starting
that
in
are
96.
necessary, but you
Starting-
don't have to go overboard
The
with
kids
it.
in 96 is when they tripled the vaccine schedule in 96. And that's when it just went, autism went whoop
That is very interesting because
to
I looked
1
at that and
in 31 today.
It's gone up so high.
And when she was born, I think it was 1 in 800. And I thought that was like, where are the black helicopters? 1 in 800 still. That's when it was one in 10,000.
now it's 1 in
5
5, right?
One in 31.
1 in 31 are going to be autistic, with boys having a higher. It's 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for
It's
boys.
rare to have a girl.
It's rare to have a girl.
Mhm.
So that's a very, to me, I mean, going through a very good schooling system, I would be able to connect the dots very clearly with that. I wonder why. Well, we understand, I
Yeah.
guess, where that goes. Getting back to the Heal Foundation and what you are doing, what is something that someone has not asked you, being a part of this for so long, or misunderstood about it, that you really would like them to understand? Like, for the next 20 years, you've been 21 years.
Yeah.
What is something that you, from the next 20 years, are trying to accomplish or want Heal to be in the community of Jacksonville?
Well, one thing I would say to parents, it is pretty devastating. And it just separates you. You feel like you're just separated from the world. And you're trying to protect your little child and from the stigma. And it's really a lot of turmoil within the family, like cousins, and they want to help, but there's nothing they can do. And they feel very helpless. Like my mother, like, there's nothing you can do. You can't help me. Sorry. And it gets frustrating for them. But the one thing I just want to tell every parent, this autism is more of a brain motor disconnect or damage or it's really motor. It's not cognitive. And so all the tests, everything was cognitive. Oh, she has, she's 10, but she does what a 5-year-old, maybe a 3-year-old can do. Well, it's because she couldn't motor there. But inside, she was so smart. She knew everything. And these kids are in there. I'll be in a grocery store. I was in North Carolina, and there was her mom with her son, just like my daughter. And I went right up to him, and I go, I know you're in there. And I looked at the mother, and I said, I have an angel just like you. Because,
I
she's
love that so much.
struggling through the grocery store. And I just I'm like, what do you need? Let me go run get it. But when I said to her, I said, he's in there. Trust me, he is in there, and talk to him like he is in there. And that's really what I want to get across to therapists, to doctors. Really, my best guidance back then were the therapists. They were on the front line too.
Because they were listening.
And they really helped guide me toward, I'm like, what is occupational therapy? What is that? She had to have 8 therapies a week.
8 therapies a week.
So what I did was I have a little pool house. I turned that into a therapy thing, and we had 8 therapies a day in there. So I learned from them, and so every day I'm like, what if she goes to physical therapy twice a week? That's not going to help her.
How did your family get through this? Like the family dynamic. I grew up with 4 brothers, and I'll tell you what, it was chaos. How did your family navigate through this? What were the hardest times that you found?
My 2 daughters, Haley and Carly, shout out to the sisters. They were phenomenal. They were like little mommies. They were always like, how can I help you? How can we do this?
Aw.
Because it was a team. Bobby's like, this is a team. We're not going to go.
Like his soccer analogy. This is a soccer game. Nobody wants to sit on the bench.
We're getting Lanier
this
off
is
the bench
team
and
heel.
on the field. And so I had great help. I had Miss Irene, who'd been helping me forever, just woman from heaven. And she would take Lanier so I could pick up my girls from school and go do homework. We did it at the library so we wouldn't have meltdowns about homework in the house. And they had to be nice, and me too, in the library. We all had to be on our P's and Q's. And I would be studying the brain and doing my Bible study, and they'd be doing their homework. And then I would take them out. We'd go out to dinner. And on Thursday night, I'd go to a really nice restaurant. I'm like, tonight's etiquette night, so I could have my wine.
I love that. That's great.
And, so I was trying to give everybody 100%, but, probably falling short, but trying,
That's so beautiful. And I like to kind of like, if it's okay with you, do you mind bringing some of those things over?
Yes.
Mrs. Leslie, we was so kind to bring some of these things over that her daughter, specifically Lanier, made. And I'm going to tell you, this is some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen. This is
It's a candle.
Candle.
Yeah, martini.
It's adorable. It's absolutely
she's
adorable.
in an adult program, and they make like these wine stoppers out of oyster shells. Lynn Yeager, who started this, when anybody has oyster roast, she gets the oyster shells and
that is so cool.
Puts them in Clorox, and then the kids.
And I love the bees inside of it.
And then
That's
there's
so
a bee.
cool.
They make soaps. They make a lot of things.
So where do kids in the local community the families that have autistic children, where do they go to participate in these kind of events?
Well, this is an adult program. We call it the Cliff.
Okay.
As soon as you're on your 21st birthday, whatever school you're in, that's your last day of school. And we call it the Cliff because then there's nothing. So now they're adult programs. My good friend Lynn Yeager started this adult program, and she's now building a 9,000 square foot building so that she can have many, many, many adults. And they make these wonderful things and sell them at farmers market.
Amazing. It's not only colorful and cool,
and
but
they do
also
academics. Like they'll say, "What do y'all want to learn about today?" They walk a mile every morning, the morning mile, and then they all pick a scripture. They vote on a scripture, and then they study a scripture, and then they talk about their perspective on it because they all type. They're all nonverbal, and so then they all have conversations. That's
beautiful.
It is wonderful.
So where's Lanier now? How is she doing? Like,
So,
where is she now?
Lanier now is living in a residential home in Palm Coast
Aw.
with 5 chicks, 5 other girls. I call it
Oh,
sorority
she's probably
house.
having a blast.
Sorority house, and she has a one-on-one companion, and they go out every day. Like Palm Coast has all these wonderful state parks, and they walk through all the state parks, or they go to museums, and they're out all day long. And yeah, she's living her best life right now, and she can type and tell
brought
me.
her alive. Like a garden, you have brought a beautiful person into a beautiful flower, and she's just expressing herself in the world now.
I asked her last week. I said, "So how are things going at the house?" And she goes, "I'm living my best life," something like that. And then she goes, "Mom, we climbed the biggest mountains. I almost didn't think we would make it, but we did. Life is good. You are free. Run."
Aw. That is the best compliment ever Lanier could give you as her mom. I mean, Mrs. Reed, your heart, I mean, God has given you, your heart must be as big as anyone's, because, wow.
It's the power of the best thing about HEAL, helping enrich autistic lives. Funny story is, I was trying to come up with the name. And the night before I went to bed, I started flipping through the Bible, and the word heal just kept coming out at me because I knew I had for autism. I wanted it to let people know I was helping people. So I called my mother the next morning and I said, "What do you think about heal?" And without 2 seconds, she goes, "That's the letters of your last name. My maiden name is Hale, Hale."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like anointed, and it came from the Bible.
Everything is anointed that you've touched.
Yeah.
I mean, and the people that have been around it, even Joe Matisha leading the surf camp, to the stories of how you came up with the name of HEAL. I mean, what a special thing. And I love how you bring God into it, because I personally have found I can only get so far without the compass pointed in the right direction. I mean, once that is pointed in the wrong direction, everything seems to go south pretty fast.
Can I tell you a quick story about the trikes?
Yes.
The big trikes?
Yes, ma'am.
So Lanier was in high school. Her teacher called me and she goes, "Lanier's riding a bike." And I'm like, "What?" Because she could ride on the back, and then she got too big and no more bike riding anymore. And I'm like, "What? Oh, I have to come see this." So she took a picture. And so the next week I called her. I said, "Okay, I'm coming out. I want to see this." And she goes, "Oh, we don't have the bikes anymore." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "We have 2 trikes and we have to share them with all the schools."
Oh, no.
And she goes, "Finally, the kids," she goes, "it was so much fun because the kids were riding on the track and all the kids were running and they were getting so much exercise and it was laughing." And I said, "Oh my gosh, write me a grant. I will have you 2 trikes tomorrow."
That is
so I go down
cool.
to our friends down there at Champion. I'm like, "You got 2 trikes? Let's throw them in the truck." Took them down there. And our next gala, I'm like, "We are going to put trikes in every single school in Jacksonville."
And
so
you
far,
probably did it.
We've done 150 trikes.
Stop.
No, wait, 150
Stop.
schools.
That's incredible.
300 trikes, probably 350 trikes. And the iPads, we've probably given out 1,000 to teachers.
Do you guys hear this? I mean, this doesn't even sound real. It doesn't even sound real. Who does this?
We have a really giving community.
We do. It's amazing.
I will say
it's amazing.
probably $9.50 out of every $10 goes to the kids because I don't get paid. I have a part-time executive director. And so my office is my dinner table. I have no overhead. I have 0 overhead.
You know what? No wonder so many companies, from Bank of America to Lennar to Unit, Caterpillar, Ring Power, that want to bless and support you, because there's nothing but pure godliness about HEAL. You got it basically from the Bible, and everything you're touching and doing is anointed by Jesus Christ Himself.
I can't.
Well, you should. You should. I mean, you're used as a beacon, as a
put my hands on my hip. I'm like, "Aren't you done with me now? Can I?"
No, I don't think you are. I think you're just beginning.
I'm waiting for the next one to film, jump in my shoes. Because I'm getting up there. I'm getting out
You're
there.
20 years old. What
Oh,
are you
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about? You just turned 22
In my
tomorrow.
head, yeah.
Yeah. So go to see the Who or the Rolling
Yeah,
Stones or
yeah.
you still got it. And I love that you said you love music, and
Oh, yeah.
records.
We have
And
a vinyl room at our house. My last name's Weed, and we call it the Weed Joint. And even last
that's
night, you were like, "Are we
awesome.
all cranking it up in the joint tonight?"
Come on
'Cause
over to the weed joint and listen to some records. Like the whole town's coming,
Yeah.
right? That's so cool. What's your favorite record and band
Oh my gosh.
that you and Lanier like to listen
Well,
to?
I have to go with my husband, Leonard Skinner,
There you go. There you go. Because it's funny. My
and the
brother brought
band.
us
I mean,
old
I'm
Squiddos home.
I'm old school, but we love the band, and yeah, Marshall Tucker. But we have like 300 vinyls. It's so much fun. We have people come and play.
Is there a day out of the week you just sit, drink wine, and listen to
Sometimes
records?
we do. We just go in there and start spinning vinyls. Yeah, it's very cool. We don't have a TV in that room. It's a small. It's kind of like a cozy room, like we did in high school. There was that one parent that would let us go crank it up.
That's
that
so
one
cool.
family.
That's so cool.
Because all we had were the albums and reading. That's all we did.
Well, like
Listen
you
to
were
music.
sharing about music, I mean, what's amazing about those bands is they strummed one chord and 50,000 people stood to their feet.
Yeah.
That's the impact they had. So it's kind of like makes you feel
It's
like
energy.
Yeah, it's great,
It's great energy.
And you deserve, I mean, you're bringing that energy into the
Yeah.
healing autism now, which is so cool because these kids get to have an opportunity that if you could have rewound to the very beginning years that you started to where you are now has not been easy.
No. But but I know I can do it. I always say it's a mountain that you climb. There are mountains and valleys. And I always know when I'm deep in the valley, and I've been in the valley a lot, but I know I'm on my way back up. That's why I'm not afraid of anything anymore, because I know it's my worst day. That means, okay, it's only going to get better. It can't get any worse than where I am right now. And so I just, like my girls were talking about something today, and I was like, "Well, we'll get when we get to that bridge to cross it, we'll worry about it. That's months away. We're not going to worry about this today."
Good for you. Good
Yeah,
for you.
when we're
You
at the foot
trust
of the
God. Do
bridge-
not worry about what
Yeah,
you wear,
when we're
what
at the
you
foot
eat
of the bridge,
today. Like
Then
the
we'll talk
birds.
about it. But let's not worry about it. Something that's months away.
The Bible, I can just feel is a core of you.
Yeah.
Because that scripture, like, don't worry
So,
about what you wear
I always
and all
would put
that.
that scripture about in Ephesians, the armor of God, put on the head, to the breastplate, all of that. When I would go into meetings, or when I think I couldn't do it, or especially when I would go to DC, I would just start reading that scripture because I knew there's so much evil there, really.
What's something really evil that you saw there that to this day you just
Well,
can't stop thinking
it's
about? You're
not
trying.
evil. It's not evil. It's
Well,
pretense.
let's say,
It's like,
let's say
I'm
it
gonna
is because
help
I
you.
agree with you. I do think
Like-
there's good and bad, like angels and demons. There's
Yeah.
some. It's not if it's not an angelic side, then we got to call it what it is, right?
So that's when I really got woken up, and I spent like 10 years going there with our group, and I remember I was sitting across from this one attorney, and he looked at me and he goes, "You need to go home and take care of your family, because this is not you're not going to be able to convince these lawmakers this." And I was 44 years old, and I was looking at him like, "What? What do you mean?" And I remember stepping on the plane and like silently crying the whole way home. And that's when I decided, he's right. I'm spending all this money going there. I'm going to do what I'm doing. I'm going to do it right here in my community. And I'm not going to expand to Atlanta. Everybody's trying to get me to expand. I'm like, no, because then it's going to dilute my purpose. We're going to do right here in my community.
The potency is going right where you are.
Yeah, 5 counties. That's us.
And you know what? These moms have no idea what they have, because from where you have brought things, the luxury to be able to pick up at this point to where you've brought things in a clarity as far as the iPads, as far as the trikes, as far as the surfing, as far as all the amenities that Heal has to offer for Jacksonville and Ponte Vedra,
Mm-hmm.
these moms better be coming over and writing you personal
I know.
handwritten notes.
They don't have time.
Well, I mean, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, if I have a kid that has autism and I'm trying to work 8 to 5 and I'm trying to do everything and juggle and make dinner and do
I
all
don't know
the
how
things
they
that you
do
do.
it.
How
I
did you
mean,
do it? How did you do it?
there's no other option. There's no other option. It's just one foot in front of the other. And, I wanted to be sure that my two beautiful daughters that weren't affected would not be affected by it. And, that was really hard. That was the hardest thing to do.
You're a super mom.
Because I can remember looking at my girls going, go upstairs to do your homework, go upstairs to do your homework. And one of them's, not feeling good about it. And I'm thinking, oh no, if she breaks down, then this one's going to break down, then that one's going to break down. So it was like juggling, like, just go up to my room and I'll help you in homework. Just a minute. So there's those moments where if I explode, like I wear
So
the
that's why
energy.
the crying moments in the shower, you
Yeah.
kept it away from them, didn't you?
Yeah.
You
That is the
really
story.
did. You were a mom that kept everything perfect in
Yeah.
front of them so they could have the best lives possible. And then when you were away, I bet you just cracked.
Yeah. So I would get Lanier off to her little school and Haley and Carly on the bus off to school, take a deep breath. I would get in the shower and I would cry and I would wail and I would scream and nobody could hear me and I wouldn't mess up my makeup. And then I would get out like, and I was off. If I didn't do it that day, it was just like on top of me. It was
like a 50-pound weight just on your
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
You couldn't even
and it was
see.
choking me because I couldn't swallow. I could just feel the anxiety manifesting inside my body. And I just knew it was very important that I get this out and don't carry it around with me because it'll rub off. If I'm singing zippity doo dah in the kitchen, all the kids are dancing. If I'm in the kitchen going, then they're going to be, I carry the energy.
You're
You carry
incredible.
the energy.
You
So
do.
make it
You
good.
do.
Because if you make it bad, then it's going to come back and smack you.
I always tell people if you go into a room and you say something positive, you create a ring and
Yeah.
everyone says something positive. If you go into a room and you say something negative, then everyone says something negative. And so you saw that, didn't you?
My daughter did this thing forever. We'd go to a party, finally when she could be around people, and she would clap. She'd just go up to, and we would know where she is because people would clap. And finally,
I
I was like,
love this.
what is this clapping thing? And so she says, I
Joy.
feel energy like a sonar of people. If they're mad, that it's like a sonar.
She probably feels it more
their
than we
energy.
do.
Oh, 100%. If you go through your life not talking and just stuck in here, you pick up, like Helen Keller, all the senses just go really
Getting
high.
heightened.
And so she said, if I clap, it makes people happy. That's how I control the room. So now we
Wow.
started, because people would be drinking, have to put their drink down. So now we taught her to go, woo, woo. So now where we are, she's like, woo, woo. That's an
I
easy
love
one.
that. Yeah. Woo-hoo. I
But
like
that's
that.
how she goes, that's how if somebody's in a bad mood, they immediately aren't.
I
when they
love
go,
that
woo-woo.
so much. What an inspiration she is as
Oh,
a
yeah.
person. I mean, she can be with the 5 ladies that she's with now. She has so much because she was with a mom that loved her so much. She can pass that love on to the other
Mhm.
girls in a way. That's amazing. I feel like there is a few people you mentioned specifically that helped you kind of navigate to get to be able to make such a large footprint. Jim Carrey and, Jenny McCarthy. I'm just so curious.
I mean, I haven't.
What makes a person like that give so much to make sure that you were on track to bring Heal Autism Now to Jacksonville, Florida, Ponte Vedra Beach, to make it the biggest autistic foundation here in our community, to where moms and dads that have children with autism have all the tools they need to live the happiest lives they can.
Mhm.
What a gift.
Yeah.
And those people helped you empower that gap to be able to be filled. God
Mhm.
bless you.
Well, God bless them. God bless everybody along the way. And, really, God bless the mothers. I could remember telling my husband, Bobby, there are mothers sitting at their kitchen table weeping this morning because they just got the diagnosis. And I got to get this information. I got to
And
get
you
out
probably
there.
know exactly that day and how that felt.
Yeah. And it's not. It feels like a death. It feels like, but it isn't. I've said before, as many tears as I have cried, I have laughed and smiled more. And when you do give, it comes back tenfold. So it fills me up. Like when we went out and gave all those iPads, we gave 50 iPads in one day to teachers. We went to all these little elementary schools and
That
high
probably
schools.
felt so good.
Oh man, it's such a high that you live off on for days. Because
Blessing these
would
schools
go, it
with
was a
the ability to be
surprise.
able to communicate.
They would apply for an iPad, and then we would get like 8 iPads at one school, and they had the principal call them all down, and they're all in the hall like, what have we done? What's wrong? What are we doing? And we had these, and then it's like
It's an exciting
it's like they
moment.
won, the $1 million prize.
That's
and it was,
so cool.
And then they go, come back to the class. Back when we could, now we can't. It's like Fort Knox schools are now. And then
You're
the
so
kids
funny.
would be so excited, and yeah,
That's
same
so
with the
cool.
trikes.
Same with the trikes, I bet, right?
So Nimnick Chevrolet, Bill Nimnick, Billy is on our board, and he had one of his trucks. Griffiths Gas did too, with our big.
Yeah, let's pull that out. So,
I don't think it's on there.
on the camera here.
But they put our big logo, butterflies.
Heel Birthday Bash and Bobby Weed's golf gig.
That was our gig.
And then that goes into look at how much fun you guys are having here. Isn't that awesome? So this is you,
Yes.
and then this is your.
They're all moms, and then that is that's Morgan Tyner, our little angel.
You guys look like you know how to have fun.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's like you have a big party and you have everybody come, and I just take them by the ankles and shake that till every last dime is gone, and then the band cranks up.
That's so
And it's a lot of
awesome.
fun.
I want to get this one too on camera here, Kenneth, if we can too. This is the iPads helping enrich autistic lives, and there is funded $200,000 for 500 plus iPads.
Yeah, we've done more than that. That's kind of old, but that's true.
Wow.
And then the trikes.
The trikes here. This is so cool. Founded 80,000 for 200 plus trikes. Strength, coordination, mobility, physical activity, exercise. There's nothing more fun than me riding my bike.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it so much. It's amazing. And healing autism. Here's educational tools, technology, camps, sports, leagues, music, art, after school and weekend activities.
Look at
That's so cool. And then
That's
here's the surf
Jason.
camp. And then here we have a very special arts where we
that's
have
at
the art stuff
Cummer
here.
Museum in Mocha.
Wow.
And then we do baseball. We buy their uniforms for the Miracle League.
Of
And
Jacksonville.
that's music therapy.
That's a big one.
And that's the iPads. We're giving out iPads. And then
Wow.
we used to have huge, like 5,000 people would come to our zoo walks. The zoo won't let us go there anymore. COVID gave people a reason not to have fun.
There's a doctor that's flying out for the science of gardening. I don't know if Lanier likes this, but I'd like to bring her on to where she can meet him. He does all plants where they blindfold them and they let with the sense and messing with
Wow.
the earth and planting things. And he deals with autistic children in Los Angeles. And he's going to
Wow.
come on the podcast soon. That might be cool to
Yeah.
have her come on and see that because that's something amazing. And then we have here a walk the zoo. That's so
The
cool.
zoo walk. We'd have like 5,000 people come for
For the
that.
zoo walk?
Yeah.
Oh,
And we would
that's
just
so
walk like
cool.
a quarter of a mile, and then we'd have a big party on the great lawn.
So everyone like that's tuning in here, you really need to support. You really need to come forth and help heal in any way. Whether it's $5, whether it's $5,000, whatever it is, make sure that these children have the ability and the things that they need to live a happy life. I think as being a part of this community, that's the least that we can do is come in and just help.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can clearly see that your heart is as pure as gold and that this mission is just something that it takes funding to be able to get
Yeah.
the kids the trikes,
Yeah.
to be able to get them the iPads.
The camps. We fund 15 camps in the summer. We help fund so that they don't have to pay to go to camp.
That's incredible. So all these opportunities that they have are, they come at a cost and you're helping provide that for the parents that
So
need.
in the fall, we'll give $50,000 to teachers. They'll write grants. And then in the spring, we give $50,000 to put on these camps.
That is so cool.
So sometimes like 150,000 because we
That's a
include the
lot.
trikes and the iPads a year we give out.
That's tremendous.
Because
That's
we're
a lot.
really little though, we're just a
You're
little
not little. Yeah, you're not little. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that.
We really are.
David fighting Goliath said Saul put his armor on. He was like, hey, that's not for me. I just need a sling and a stone. So he was a shepherd boy for years, and he seemed like nothing. But God had intended for him to take down a man that nobody would go fight.
Yeah.
And it was just a sling and a stone. So you are big, Mrs. Weed. You are big, and your heart is even bigger. In closing, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
How has your journey with Lanier changed the way you define success or happiness in your life?
Wow. It's completely different before, after her birth and what I've been through. I see people, I see their heart. I look for their heart. I'm not interested in what they, what their income is. I just love people that have a very good vibe and not always scurrying around worrying about things. I like to be around people who are relaxed with themselves, not trying to put on airs. I have a sense about people. And I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's how it
does.
changed me.
It does.
And I've met the coolest people in the world, and they are parents of children who have autism because they have shaped us. Lanier, my other girls taught me how to be a mommy. Lanier taught me how to be a warrior mommy.
Wow. Lanier, did you hear that? That is powerful.
Yeah.
And that did answer that question more. And then what progress have you seen in autism awareness and support over the last 20 years? And where do we still have a long way to go? In your opinion, where do we still have a long way to go? Globally.
Well,
like here, I feel like you've got it polished in terms of what they need. But globally, where do you see if you had a wand in your hand, what would you do with it?
First thing I would do is go to the root cause. This was not an epidemic 30 years ago. Now she's 27. But this was not an epidemic in the whole history of the world. So there is a root cause. And I think there's zoning in on the root cause that everybody didn't want them to look at. And I do believe that before I pass away into a greater place, that we will know that, and it'll stop it right in its tracks. Because what started it is something, and if you find what started it, it'll stop it. This is not a normal thing.
Especially
it's not
in
normal
that
for the
5
nervous
years,
system to go haywire, and then you lose the ability to walk and talk, but your brain is still intact, and that's just horribly frustrating on the child. And that's why I always say to parents, just please know they're in there. Talk to them like they're understanding you.
Not the baby talk like you were talking about.
Or talk about them like they're not in the room.
Because they can hear everything and they just can't verbally communicate it in the way that maybe you or I have the privilege on this podcast to be able to do it.
Fine motor damage. But with the iPad, you can tap
and
you can swipe.
That's so cool. Facilitating typing.
Yeah.
I love that. And these kids have the iPads for that. If Lanier could fully hear this conversation today, which she will when it's released, what would you want her to know about how she shaped your life?
Boy, yeah. She's turned me into, from a girl like to go out and play golf and drink beer and have fun and pick my girls up after school and go on shopping trips to man, I had to get smart. I got really smart really fast. I didn't realize I could be that smart and learn so much through my research. I never would have imagined that I would put on 20 years of galas and raise $5 million for our community. I mean, she did all of that. She was the inspiration. She inspired me I was an entrepreneur before I had stores. I had retail stores. So I had that no fear. I'm going to make it happen. It's going to be great. But she took it in a whole different direction that wasn't just a trivial, let's go shopping trip and let's go play golf and drink beer. It's like, no, I'm going to DC and I'm making a difference. I'm going to go help these people.
And there was nothing stopping you.
No, it was my Woodstock.
I can tell that. It's like, I am going to do this and it's going to happen. And you did do it. And I
Yeah.
think that is the most powerful thing about it is consistency and determination
But
and
all
hard
the people
work.
that came along with me.
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning Jim Carrey and Jenny McCarthy. You were naming individuals that helped you, or
But
Paul
then, you
Armour
know,
in the plane to get to
Joe
this place.
Mattia.
Joe Matti. Yes.
I mean,
yes,
he is like,
yeah.
he's like an idol. He's like
He
a
really
god
is.
of the surfers.
Yes.
And the first year we did that, and here comes this blind guy, 18 years old, and he goes, I'll take him. He took the one person that everybody was like, whoa, I don't know about that.
That's Joe.
Put him on his longboard.
That's
And
Joe.
he and Max had never been or had put his foot in the ocean his whole life. Never even been to the ocean.
Isn't that
Hopped
cool?
on that board with Joe because they innately knew we're for each other. And 20 years later, they're still surfing together.
And for those that don't know, 1 year ago, almost to this day, marks our 1 year anniversary with Angels and Demons podcast. Joe Mattia was the very first person on the podcast that spoke about surf camp for healing, autism.org. And now here is Miss Leslie Weed 1 year later on the first episode of season 4, sharing with parents in the local Jacksonville and Ponte Vedra community ways that you, as a parent with a child with autism, can have the best life for your family. Mrs. Weed, it has been such an honor having you on Angels
Back
and
at ya.
Demons podcast, because my mission and goal is just to let people know, no matter what they're going through in life, you are not alone. And you, in this particular spectrum of autism, have clearly demonstrated to the community you are not alone. And
Right.
it's beautiful. And thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming
This
on.
is great.
You are such a beautiful person. And now you can go to your record room, drink some wine,
Yeah.
and jam out.
Woohoo! You'll have to
Until
come over.
next time, Angels and Demons podcast.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for listening, and we look forward to hearing you next time.
Thank you.
Angels and demons fighting in the deep end. I turn all my weakness into something I believe in. Every scar, every doubt, that's fuel when I speak. Welcome to the battle where the broken get free. Yeah.